What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. Break down what's happening with the global situation right now, what's happening with other pieces of news, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But let me first say that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you guarantee 20 free stocks. Deposit $25,000 or more, you guaranteed 75 of them, and offerings in just 2 weeks. So right now, guys, the market's still not getting ready for the big bounce that it was preparing for. We're still looking a little bit weak right now, a little bit lackluster, so we have to give the market a bit more time. This is because of the fact that the overall situation with what's going on with Israel and Iran is not necessarily cooling off as much as I thought it could have, because we're starting to see more and more tensions being driven by the media. There's a lot of talk about this, and there's a lot of fear being incited by potential more retaliation attacks, or even Israel trying to do a counterattack. So I'm starting to see more news about that. The market is still responding a little bit negatively, so we have to give it a little bit more time. But like I said before, things haven't officially escalated a lot more from here. If they do start to escalate, that would be a little bit more bearish. With all this negative sentiment, the market is still responding a little bit more negatively. So we have to just give this a little bit more time. We're dipping a little bit more. As long as there's no new attacks that happen, however, for an extended period of time, no new massive threats, the market could still rebound later on. We're not ready yet. We're dipping a bit. We're going to likely fill this gap on SPY, dip a little bit more, but then later on, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. With that being said, there's more news coming out. I just wanted to call out that we have some 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As far as news goes, there's news coming out about Apple iPhone. Its first quarter shipments have sunk as a result of Chinese challenges and more competition and more geopolitical issues. So that's very, very important. We are seeing some sales declining from other Chinese companies too. But once again, their overall shipments in the first quarter are down about 9.6% from what we saw the same period last year. It's a little bit down year over year, not the best of news for them. Also for Tesla, they laid off about 10% of their global workforce. We're seeing Tesla dip as a result of that announcement because of the fears emerged for more declines. So that is so far what's happening to the markets. We did attempt to bounce on SPY, but the thing about that move is we're not ready to get a really, really big rebound. We failed to break this 515 resistance. So we're looking at 512.5. Because we're failing here, there is a risk of us coming down a little bit lower to fill this gap. I could still see that happen, but then SPY could attempt to rebound from there and continue to ping pong. That's most likely how this is going to end up going. Now, are we going to see a big bounce? Not yet. We need a little bit more time for that to happen because things are still kind of tense with the media. But I do want to note that as long as there's no massive escalation in the whole situation, we are going to see a nice bounce eventually. We're not ready yet, so give this chart a little bit more time. Maybe looking to see this gap right here. I'm kind of eyeing this, not to mention the support at 512. Give this a little bit more time. As far as Tesla goes, we're just barely holding 165 as support. If we lose that, we could be sinking all the way down to 162. Our resistance happens to be at 167.25 to 167.8. So we're just shuffling at 165 right now on Tesla. If we lose this, there's going to be a bigger dip. The overall structure is a bit more bearish, and we had the layoff news. So still, there is a risk of more downside on Tesla, but I'm trying to say it's not that extreme because Tesla's trying to. We're seeing a lot of defense being played right now at 165. So we'll see how well it holds for the time being. The QQQ tried to rebound, hitting 442. I was hoping it would break this and go up to 444, but we failed to make it up there because we failed to hold 442. So unfortunately, it's showing a little bit more weakness. With that happening, we have this gap to fill all the way down here. There's also 438 as support. This is shuffling a bit just under 440, but there is a risk of it tipping just a little bit more and very, very slowly. The market's very choppy right now, kind of indecisive, waiting for more news to come out with the whole Israel situation. So, like I said before, the overall sentiment is a little bit more fearful, but what is good is so far I'm not seeing massive signs of huge escalation. So let's hope it stays that way. But as of right now, market's a little indecisive. We are dipping a little bit on the QQs and the others, so there is a risk of a bit more downside. I just want to call that out. As far as Aapl goes, Apple's kind of flat right now. We have 175 as resistance, support at 174. We're kind of stuck within this range. If we end up dipping, watch 173.38 as support. Watch resistance at 175 and 175.75. As of right now, showing a little bit of weakness. We are in a slight downtrend right here. Could dip a little bit more, but it's not looking that bad. It's actually holding up quite nicely compared to the market despite the bad news that came out. And then with that being said, as far as other stocks out there go, like Apple, we have not Apple, Amazon, we have it right here. Tried to push for about 189, came just short of it. Rejecting, watch 186.75 as support. If we lose that, we could fill this gap all the way down to about 185.8. And eventually, 185 is below that. So it's kind of shuffling right now. Could dip a little bit more. Watch that support. It's still kind of stuck. Same thing with Coinbase. We're barely holding the 240 support. If we lose this, there's going to be 238. Then for resistance, we're going to be watching 245 basically. So we'll see how it goes. I'm seeing a little bit of weakness on the chart. Could dip a little bit more, but I think that there's a lot of defense that likes to be played around 240 and also 236. So it could dip a little bit more, but then we'll watch what happens with supports. And then as far as meta goes, we have this gap to fill all the way down to about 508, not to mention 506. So we have those two supports right there. We have resistance at 516, but I could see this dip a little bit more, but watch and see the support and how well it holds, at least for the time being. So those are some things worth noting. Let's just hope for the best. The market is dipping a little bit. Some stocks like Tesla are being defended very well. There is a risk of a bit more downside, so we'll give this a little bit more patience and see how it goes. With that being said, that is your update for now, and just know that with this whole situation involving Israel, with all this news coming out, the market's not ready for the bounce yet. I was calling a bounce, which could come later on. We're just not there yet. We need to give this a little bit more time. So give this the time it needs. Once the situation cools off more, the market will rebound. We're just not there quite yet, as we're starting to see, and we're still waiting for more and more updates, which is why the market's a little indecisive and also dipping just a bit. All right. So with that being said, like I said before, thank you all so much for listening. I really hope that the whole situation involving Israel does not escalate. I'm hoping that both sides just remain at ease, and I really hope for the best because, like the majority of people out there, we want peace, we want harmony, we don't want anyone trying to attack anyone from this point on. That's what I'm hoping for, and we'll see how things go from here. All right. So with that being said, one more thing about the markets. I forgot to mention this. We have another piece of data. We have our bill auctions coming out. Not to mention, we have another report coming out later on after that. I'll talk more about that in my next video. And then besides that, we have Dali from the Fed giving a speech. So all the data is very minor for the time being. We have more earnings coming out for tomorrow. I'll talk more about that later on. But for now, we'll just be watching the charts and see how things go. All right, guys. So I hope for the best. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure that you guys have an absolutely incredible rest of the day, and we'll just see how it goes from here. Don't forget to watch supply and demand, watch support and resistance levels, and see how things go. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys, and peace out.